all. Welcome.
Good afternoon or good morning.
Hi,
Trae,
yeah.
how you doing?
I'm doing well. It's
Okay.
good to see you.
Good to be seen.
Yeah.
And so just not to clarify, but officially it's Dr. Paul Jackson.
Doctor!
I got a doctorate in 1998 from Texas A&M University in computer engineering.
Wow.
I did my undergrad at Prairie View and my master's there too. And then when I finished, did 3 summer internships working for Boeing here in Seattle. And when I finished, they hired me. So they moved me out there, and I was doing research in virtual and augmented reality till about 2010 or so. And I switched into digital video. One thing though, in 1993, I was actually diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And so I never told anybody at my job. And so, when McDonnell Douglas bought Boeing, joke, Boeing actually bought McDonnell Douglas, but it always turned around that when that happens, a lot of the culture from the lesser entity takes over the major entity. Boeing is a huge provider of military stuff for the United States. And so again, when McDonnell Douglas bought Boeing, a lot of the research efforts kind of got sidelined and stuff, and then they moved a lot of the manufacturing, because it's a union state, right? So they went to South Carolina. Yep. Even though Seattle's where it started, and I think their headquarters is in in South Carolina, but they're still building stuff here in Seattle and Everett. So,
right. Well, it's good to know that you actually, not only did you get your doctorate, but man, AR and VR now is just huge. And so you were on the cusp of that.
Yes.
But you've also been doing so many different things in community and have really become a trusted source for so many in terms of, please, capture these moments.
Yes.
And I want to talk to you about the preciousness of the moments that happen in community that oftentimes would not be there for future generations if we did not have folks like yourself on the ground to make sure that these events and these moments are captured. Tell us more about how you kind of maneuvered from doing the work at Boeing to really being in community.
Well, because I was doing a lot of videotaping of the research group I was doing, and I taught myself Final Cut, and so I fell in love with the storytelling process. And so in that transition, I was just hanging out. And so I'd go to events at Langston, or I'd go to events at, in the CD. Even though I was living more on the north end in Sandpoint, I did wind up living in Pioneer Square for a little bit. But just in the community, I've always felt that, throughout my interviews, actually, back up just a little bit. So I volunteered for this nonprofit called Multimedia Research Training Institute. It was headed by an Ethiopian immigrant, and they were stationed at the promenade on 23rd and Jackson, where the supermarket used to be, the Red Apple.
Yep.
And so when Vulcan bought the block, that's kind of messed everything up. And up and down 23rd and Union was another spot. And so it's good to hear that Africatown is kind of taken over a bit. And then not only there, but actually at 23rd in Yesler, because they were given the fire station notes there. So things are happening. But I mean, I don't want to say but. And the migration, the gentrification of Seattle is really happening. And so unfortunately, I had to move to Tacoma because it was getting too expensive for me.
Yeah, so many others.
Yeah, I know. But fortunately, I got remarried, and my wife now, Jasmine Brown, is a sister, and she's an artist, and she's actually a public art manager for the city of Tacoma. And she's also done some great work. There's a statue, full-size bronze statue of Billy Ray Shirley, 17-year-old brother who's killed in a gun violence incident. No gang relation or anything like that. He always wanted to have a community center, and so his mom got enough money to build the East Side Community Center, and as you enter in, you'll see the full-size bronze statue that my wife made. She also made a bust of Dr. Maxine Mims. Dr. Maxine Mims, who turned like 95 this year, started Evergreen College in Hilltop in Tacoma. And so, I mean, my wife is doing some great work.
So you all are a dynamic duo because you're out here filming things going on in the community. And I appreciate you talking about just being in community. Yeah. You know, folks got to see you because you were at events. You had your camera out there. You were pulling pieces together, doing the editing in the back end. That's really important. But you also just mentioned a lot about how the city has changed. It has really affected so many different families and still continues to do so. But I appreciate that you are plugged in enough to understand this kind of wave, almost like a renaissance that's taking over once again. I mean, when we look at Jackson now, yes, there are huge buildings,
Exactly.
but there are also many Black businesses coming back to the area. Tell us about how that is resonating with you as we're seeing this kind of wave of intentional development that is geared toward bringing Black families and businesses back to the Central District.
Well, it's interesting you bring this up because now I live in Pierce County. I no longer live in King. And so there's grants and things that are available to just residents of King County. So unfortunately, right now, I'm not really able to do that unless I find somebody I can use their address. But no, since my wife is working as a public art manager in King County in Tacoma, there are also opportunities for Black businesses there. Now, I'm wearing this T-shirt, the Black Collective. It's a group of Pierce County African Americans that have met every Saturday since 1968. I think they've only missed 2 Saturdays in that 50-plus years time span. And so they have a lot of subcommittees, and one of the committees is about Black business. And so they talk about all the time about making sure that your business is there. And actually, related to business today, there is the African American Reach and Teeth Health Ministries, which is out of Renton, but they're doing a workshop on chronic disease management at a church, at Plymouth Church here in Seattle. And incidentally, Plymouth Church was the only church that would allow Dr. Martin Luther King to speak when he visited those 50 years ago. Wow. And so,
wow, now run by Reverend Kelly Brown.
Yes,
I mean,
doctor.
you're talking, Dr. Reverend, Reverend, Doctor,
Exactly.
Dr. Reverend, right?
Right.
Kelly Brown. It's great because honestly, there's a lot of folks who are bringing their brilliance not only to King County but also Pierce County, and really the connections between the two. I feel like I've seen more of that in the last few years than I have throughout my lifetime. We're really seeing the need for Black communities in particular to really come together, no matter what the background and history has been. I think we're seeing a lot of that too. So I'm glad that you're out there in Pierce County pushing for community now, Paul. You have a huge, rich history in King County. Thank you for the work that you've been doing to be on the ground, to be intentional and building relationships. You just called out Black Collective run by Brother Lau Qasim.
That's
I was
right.
just, he just got an award. I just was with him a couple of different times in community. And also, it's great because we need more of this intentionality to really highlight and spotlight our organizations that have been doing the work and that are continuing to do it. So, Paul, thank you for being with me. Thank you for the work that you have done in community. Of course, folks will be continuing to stay tapped in, and I'm glad to know that now you're also uplifting what's going on in Pierce County. Paul, thanks so much.
I'm trying to. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So great to see with you.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh, y'all. I told you it was going to be a fan.